We had the chance to watch this artist perform last September at the SWOMP Festival in Cavendish, Prince Edward Island, and she will be performing at the semi-annual songwriter series Chords and The Truth, which returns to Toronto's TD Music Hall on May 22nd for their special 10th anniversary edition. So we're joined on the SWOMP podcast by Terra Lightfoot. Terra, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing fantastic. So Chords and The Truth, hosted by Nova Scotia-born, Toronto-based singer-songwriter, songwriter advocate, and series founder Andrea England. So we chatted with Andrea a couple of years ago now about this event. So Terra, how did you get connected with Andrea and connected with Chords and The Truth?
Well, I think I met Andrea so long ago, and I think at that time she literally said, "Hey, will you play my event?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, like that sounds great. Yeah, keep me in the loop." And every time it was either I was abroad, often across an ocean, or coming back from being across an ocean, and it just never worked out. And so it's really funny to me that the first time I'm finally doing Chords and The Truth after like 6 attempts is the 10th anniversary.
Right on. better late than never, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you haven't played 4 chords in the past, but like, have you performed at events like these throughout your career?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Songwriter Circle is no stranger to me. And I think the cool thing about this one is I have a friend who's participating also, and we've done lots of great stuff together. Actually, last time we were at Massey Hall was for the Songwriters Hall of Fame induction for Blue Rodeo. And I did try, and I did Hasn't Hit Me Yet with Matt Mays and Adam Baldwin.
Oh, wow. That would have been amazing.
It was so fun. But yeah, so now we'll be meeting in the same building, which is super fun.
Oh, perfect. So I know these type of events and the songwriter circles, definitely intimate. 4 Chords is really known for its kind of confessional performances. As one of the performers, how do you prepare for something like this? You know, as opposed to where we saw you last fall at SOMO, you know, how do you prepare for the difference for these type of events?
Yeah, I mean, the rock shows are pretty easy because it's just your buddies and you just hop up there and you turn up and get going, right? But being by yourself on a stage with other songwriters that you don't normally play with can be a daunting thing for sure. But I choose to look at it as a really beautiful way to be inspired, because each song in any songwriter circle I've ever been a part of, each song as you go around, people sometimes change their choices. They might have thought they would play, 3 specific songs, and then somebody plays a song about somebody that they lost, and it reminds them of a song that they wrote about someone that they lost, and then it just kind of goes on from there. It's like a big game of telephone,
right?
But inspirational telephone, shall we say. But I always love that because you end up getting songs that people wouldn't normally play live, certainly that I wouldn't play with the rock band like at Samo.
Right.
And to me, that's part of the magic, because it's sort of a one-time thing.
I was going to ask you what you take away from something like this. So you mentioned it sounds like it's a very spontaneous, in the moment type event. But is there something, I guess, that you draw from it afterwards? You know, after participating in it, do you find yourself reflecting on those experiences in these type of songwriter circles?
Well, sure, and I think that's part of the benefit of being a songwriter, is that you gain experience and you glean inspiration from other writers. You know, so if somebody says, "Oh, I wrote a song about XYZ," you're like, "Wow, I've never written about that. Maybe I'll go home and try." So that's what I love about it. And there is definitely some reflection, as you're alluding to.
I've never attended one of these. I've never attended a 4 Chords, but to me, it almost sounds like the audience is almost just like a fly on the wall, getting to experience the artists working together in kind of an organic way. Would my description be correct, you think? Not being ignorant and not being in attendance at one yet?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, too, another piece for people who are keen on it, like there's also a collaboration portion. So sometimes, if somebody wants a bass part or, back up on a few chords, and maybe they'll turn to somebody and say, "Hey, can you play G, A minor, C over and over, and I'll sing over it?" Or, there can be all kinds of collaborations that occur. And I'm looking forward to, because Andrea is obviously a songwriter and it's her event. And so to witness something that she has cultivated so strongly after 10 years, like, I'm really excited to see how she does it, because she's obviously got something that's lasting, right? So I'm excited to see her formula.
Absolutely. And speaking of collaborations, from what I understand, 4 Chords always has surprise special guests that appear that aren't really announced. Some of them in the past, Serena Ryder, Scott Hellman, Matt Mays, Colin McDonald from The Truth. So I wanted to ask you, Terra, is there any special guests that that might show up that might get you a little starstruck?
Man, you just never know. Could be anyone. It's Chords and The Truth 10th anniversary.
We'll have to wait and see, I guess, right? Absolutely.
Exactly.
Another thing, too, that I think is really important with this event is, I know it's supported the Unison Fund over the years, raised thousands of dollars. And this year it's partnering with Music Counts, which supports music education in Canada. So what can you say about that, Terra, and supporting organizations like this focus on music?
Yeah, so Music Counts for me is an organization that I support a lot, as much as I can, because music education is one of the biggest ways for kids to get into music. If they don't have somebody at home who is putting an instrument in their hands, Music Counts does that at the schools, whether it's, buying new instruments for the school program or supporting to keep the programs going, which a lot of music programs are struggling these days in schools. So to me, it's 100% the right organization to be supporting, because music has to start somewhere. And usually it's from when you're young. Like for me, I started when I was 5. And a lot of people are like that. A lot of musicians started early and just kept going. So I love that piece personally. It makes me feel really good about being a part of this event.
Excellent. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about you specifically. Terra, your album, Healing Power, longlisted for a 2025 Polaris Prize and nominated for Juno Awards this year. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about that. That's, as a Canadian artist, that's peak. That's amazing, right?
Yeah, as a Canadian artist, it's totally peak. It felt really good. I actually ran in the way that I came to this event was at the Junos. Andrea approached me again.
Oh,
was
cool.
Like, yeah, can you do May 22nd? Basically in person. And so I agreed at that time. But yeah, the Junos is always so great because you get to meet a bunch of people that, either are maybe new to the scene or have been working for a while, like, people like Anne Murray.
Right.
She got her Lifetime Achievement Award. That was so cool to watch. And also artists like Baby No Money. I was like, I don't know who this person is, but man, did they ever put on a great show. It's kind of about discovery, too, of your peers and people, Canadian legends. It's just a really fun weekend to be a part of. And Polaris too, equally beautiful. That is an award that, like all the records on the long list and the short lists, are really touching, beautiful pieces of art. And that Polaris just glorifies art. And so that was a great honor for me as well.
I read a bit about your album, Healing Power, and the inspiration. So maybe I'd love to hear you, kind of tell that story a little bit about what inspired the album, and maybe dig into a bit the album cover and that tree on the cover. But tell me that story. It sounds like you could write a book about the inspiration behind it.
Oh, yeah. So I was at kind of a dark point, not in my career. My career was going great. I'd actually just been nominated for a Juno and a Polaris Music Prize on the long list. I forget what year it was, but I found myself between tours of Australia and Japan and the US, and I had like 3 days off. So I went to Austria. And for some reason, they rented me a very fancy BMW. So, of course, I'm driving it as fast as I can through the mountain ranges. And I get up to what I think is the top of this mountain road. And then I see that there's a path. So I'm like, okay, I'll go up the path with my guitar, see what's up there. I get to the top of this mountain, the very, very top, and there's nothing up there. You can see it looked like Sound of Music, with the flowers and the sky and the sun. It was like crazy. And I get up there and I see this beautiful, kind of scraggly tamarack tree all by itself. There's no other trees growing up there. And it had been there for so many years, just doing its thing, just growing as slow as it wanted. It wasn't very big, but it was growing. And so for me, that tree became a symbol of what I wanted to do. Like, even though things aren't good right now, I want to keep growing and keep going through it. And that made me have the energy to continue that tour and keep going. And, here I am, like, I guess it's like 5, 6, 7 years later. And it's so great to be able to put that inspiration and that perseverance into those songs and make it with my friends too. It's a rock record. It's one of my, I think it's my greatest rock record. So that feels really good too.
That's cool that you're able to see it, to completion and take a moment from the past and create something along the way that can be celebrated and enjoyed now and moving forward, right? So that's amazing.
Totally.
So I see too that you have a few festival appearances already lined up, besides 4 Chords, but some festival appearances lined up for the spring and the summer. So tell me a little bit about those. Where can people see you perform this in 2025?
Well, I'm playing just in May. I'm playing in Kingston at Spring Reverb Festival. That's on the 30th. On the 31st, Matt Mays and I are playing at his barn with his alpacas, so that'll be super fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm kind of doing the Ontario dates too. I'm doing Paris, Creemore, Kitchener, Welland, Hamilton, and I'm also going down to the States for a couple, which I really love, and we're going to have a great time in Wisconsin and Iowa. So that'll be super fun, and then I think at the end of the summer, I'm capping it off with a tour that cannot yet be announced, but I'm going somewhere overseas, and it's going to be wonderful.
Excellent. Well, we can't wait for that, Terra. And like we said, too, for Chords and The Truth coming up on May 22nd. Thanks for giving us your perspective on that. And, like I said, we've spoken with Andrea in the past, so it was cool to hear a performer's perspective on the event and digging into the songwriter circle style of it all. So thank you very much, Terra, for taking the time with us. And we look forward to seeing more music and seeing you on the road.
Awesome. Thank you so much.